All right, everybody. This is Dave Snyder, and welcome to the Prescott Sunrise Lions Show presented by the Prescott Media Center at the Prescott Armory. I am David A. Snyder, CPA, MBA, and EA with David A. Snyder, CPA. I am a member of the Prescott Sunrise Lions Club. Please go to the PrescottSunriseLionsClub.org to see the projects we participate in and come to our meeting every Thursday at 7 a.m. at Waffles and More. We meet there every Thursday at 7 a.m. at Waffles and More. It's a great place to meet. We are coming up on tax season. In fact, it really just started for me. Today it's January 29th, and it really just started for me. I'm a CPA. I do that. And so please call me at 928-445-0104, extension 9, if you have any questions regarding tax credits. For example, there's 5 Arizona tax credits, okay, that are very helpful in terms of reducing your taxes. There's the Arizona Military Family Relief Fund, which allows you to have $400 married filing jointly and $200 other statuses. And that is pretty much not able to be used for 2017 at this time because generally everybody finishes that one by November because they have a cap of $1 million. Okay, there's a foster care tax credit, which is $1,000 and $500 for other statuses. And that is through April 15th. Now, it'll help you on your Arizona tax return, but it won't help you on your federal return after 12/31, or the end of the year, basically. There's a public school tax credit, which is also through April 15th, and that is $400 and $200 other statuses. And that could be for PUSD schools. That could be any school in Arizona that's a public school. But you know, we're emphasizing here PUSD or Humboldt Unified School District. Okay, so and then there's a private school tax credit. Now the private school tax credit is for something like Sacred Heart or Primavera, and it's a $2,177 married filing jointly and $1,089 other statuses, and that's also through April 15th. Now the reason for that being bigger than the public school one is because they don't get any Arizona funds, okay? And then there's a charitable organization tax credit that you can give to the Prescott Sunrise Lions Club or to people who care, okay? And that is $800 married filing jointly and $400 other statuses, and that's also through April April 15th. Again, say you owe $2,000 and you paid in $3,000. That $2,000 on the Arizona tax return will go away, and you could carry forward up to that remaining $1,000 up to 5 years. So it's a good way to help local organizations, local Lions clubs, for example, and local people who care.
He has to say that.
I have to. And local people who care. What organization, instead of sending your money down to Phoenix where it's going to be wasted on whatever they want to waste it on. Okay, so take advantage of all these tax credits. You can use them all. Again, you can carry forward some if you pay a little extra. You can pay off your tax bill, or you can make a big contribution to what you would owe. So that would be really helpful for everybody's tax. Only 10% of people in Arizona take advantage of this tax credit. And I think that might be a little high, because some people tell me 8% or 5%, and that's ridiculous to me. Even if you split the $800 between Lions Club and people who care, that would be okay. Okay, so other projects that the Lions Club does are paper for Prescott Valley. We actually do all the recycling of the paper in Prescott Valley. Now the Noon Lions Club does Prescott, and that we have some help. Each of us has some help from the Chino Valley area. But we do. My Prescott Sunrise Lions does the paper recycling for Prescott Valley. We've had the mayor on this show, maybe a year ago, year and a half, of Prescott Valley, talking about how we help them with their services. So community projects. We also contribute to like a 4.0 dinner for the schools around here for students that had a 4.0 through high school. We also give to the Yavapai school nurses. A couple years ago, we gave we basically gave the money to the Yavapai school nurses to buy scanners so they could go around Yavapai County, scan the kids' eyes when they're in first, second grade, and even further along, so that they're not sitting in the back of the class thinking they're stupid because they can't read the board, right? So it's very helpful. We do a lot of these type of projects that help people with hearing. That's that's our initial plank, the Lions Club. There's environment recycling. That's good for the environment. There's childhood heart disease. That's what it is. And there's hunger. And now the fifth plank is diabetes. I've talked about diabetes the last 2 or 3 shows. So I'm really trying to promote people to come out to Lions and see what we're about. We're a very gregarious bunch, and come and join our club and help the community, because that's what we do. We serve. All right, today I have the boss lady of People Who Care, Fritzi and Mevis, right?
That's correct.
All right, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Fritzi, tell us about People Who Care. Tell us about yourself a little bit first.
Okay, but first I want to add something. I learned something from you talking about the Sunrise Lions. I did not know that you were doing the recycling in Prescott Valley. And we have a program out there now in Prescott Valley Dewey and an office in Prescott Valley. And I want to promote that. And I've been advertising the Prescott Noon Lions for Prescott without knowing that you were doing Prescott Valley.
Okay.
So I would like to know where your dumpsters are located and how, and then when the next newsletter comes out, the general newsletter, I want to be able to advertise that for you. Because I believe in recycling and I love to support the Lions because the Lions supports us. So if people listening and you live in Prescott Valley, please contact Dave and find out where those dumpsters are located and find out where you can recycle your newspapers and magazines.
Okay, so Lions Park is one of them, right next to the fire station on Robert Road. They're all over the place. They're behind one of the funeral homes. I mean, there's a bunch of places where we put them. I can't.
I put you on
Bob
the spot.
Drive.
I put
Bob
you on
Drive
the spot,
is one of
didn't
them. Bob Drive is one of them. But we have bins. We have a bin at PHS, and that's only because of our Leo Club there.
Yeah.
So we support the Leo Club at Prescott High School.
Right.
But that's we don't generally do it in Prescott except for there. And then in Prescott Valley, they're just all over the place. Like I said, Robert Road and all over the place.
Okay, so we'll talk.
Well, yeah, I'll
Absolutely.
have to elaborate and find out where they are and really kind of describe it.
And the other thing I wanted to respond to before I go talk about People Who Care and so forth is to say that the charitable organization tax credit for Arizona, yes, People Who Care and the Lions Clubs definitely are soliciting those tax credit dollars. But I just want to speak for the nonprofit community, that all of the nonprofit organizations who are qualified organizations for the Arizona tax credit, I would say to you, if you have an organization that you want to support or that is supporting you, by all means, please do so by April 15th, because it certainly helps our bottom lines. All nonprofits need funding.
Absolutely.
And so your dollars will certainly help support the work that we all do in the community. So I just wanted to encourage you to do that.
And keep in mind, we're not really in competition. We have them on our sheets. We have People Who Care. We have YEI. We have foster care. We have the Hunger Project.
And we get funding from you. So
Yeah, I mean, so we have people that are supposedly competing with us for these dollars flowing through our foundation to People Who Care.
That's right.
That's perfectly fine.
That's right. So now I forgot what you asked me.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
About me?
Yes.
Well, I've been in Prescott for 17 years and been director. I've been with People Who Care about 17 years, and I love it. Mm-hmm. I laugh and tell people that I'm aging in place, which is always sometimes good, sometimes not so good.
Good attitude.
I love my job. I spent 25 years as an Army wife, moving all over the country in various places. And the lesson I learned from all those moves is that community is so critical, that especially when we were overseas, and we were all each other's support, and how important it was. And I volunteered for Army Community Services for many, many years, and how critical it was to be there for each other. And so it really nurtured to me how important it is that we all in the community reach out and help each other. And so when we moved to Prescott, I saw this job advertised and I thought, sounds good. And I'd taken care of my mother for 15 years, so I had some help with aging issues and so forth. So that's what brought me here, and I love Prescott and I love the surrounding area and the community. So
Yeah, it's an excellent area. I'm
it
really,
is.
really
It
impressed
is.
by it.
Yeah, can't complain
came-
about the weather, can
I
we?
came here in 2007, so, so
Great.
it's a little shorter time than you.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so tell us, the audience, about the programs at People Who Care.
Okay, People Who Care has been around. We're going in our 26th year, and it was started a long time ago when some people moved up from Phoenix, and they were volunteering down there at VICAP Center, and they moved up here, and these two ladies said, "You know what? We've been volunteering down in Phoenix to help people who were not able to drive anymore, and to give them non-medical assistance. And looking around here, there's a lot of people who could use our help." So we received our nonprofit 501c3 status, which is a tax-deductible status, in 1992. And People Who Care has just grown since then. And so today we have, our main office is located in Prescott. And we have, I should have brought the numbers for you. I'm sorry, I forgot to bring all the numbers. But yeah, we have, so let me give you a total. So, and then we have an office in Chino Valley, and we have an office in Prescott Valley / Dewey. Now, what's important about that is that each of these main geographical offices, volunteers who live in Chino Valley or Prescott Valley, help people who actually live in that community. So it is a community organization in itself under the umbrella of People Who Care. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to know that this is, say Prescott Valley knows that their people who live there are helping their neighbors who live there. And so we'd like to empower the community to take care of their own neighbors and our clients who are enrolled. So that's the big picture. Last year, unduplicated neighbors that we helped, our neighbors are enrolled clients. We refer to them with a capital N. So when I'm speaking of neighbors, they're our clients. Last year, unduplicated numbers, we helped 829 individuals. That's not services. That's how many individuals we helped in 2017. Our volunteers drove 30-some thousand miles. So we have a very small staff in each of the offices. Out of the whole organization, all 3 offices, we only have 2 full-time employees. I'm one of them. The other one is the office manager and office administrator in Prescott. Everybody else works 20 or 15 hours a week, part-time. So we do a mighty work with very few staff because it's our volunteers out there who are the hearts and the hands of the community, who actually go out and do the work. So who do we help? We help people who are physically not able to drive anymore, not because they don't have a car or can't afford to put gas or pay the insurance. We help people who physically should not or cannot be behind the wheel safely driving. A good percentage at any given time, between 60 and 65% of the neighbor clients that we're helping are visually impaired. And because they really cannot see well enough to drive anymore, which is a critical piece. Other people who are physically not able to drive might just be an aging issue. We help people, like right now we have up to 103 years old. But we help people who
They're not driving, right?
No, they're not driving. We're driving with them. So we help people who have had strokes, have chronic illnesses like lupus and other chronic illnesses that prevent them from driving. Parkinson's is huge.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of chronic illnesses where people cannot safely drive or should not be driving anymore. So our volunteers, it's all one.
And it keeps them out of the house too. It gets them out of the house.
Well, yes. So
that's the other part.
If they're able to leave the home, yes, absolutely. So the critical piece is that it's all one volunteer to one enrolled neighbor. It's 1-to-1. We don't take people in vans anywhere. So say if you were the enrolled client and I was your volunteer, you and I would just be talking on the phone. And if it was, oh, Dave needs a ride today, and I call and I say, hi, Dave, I picked up the assignment. I'm going to help you get to see Dr. So-and-so on Thursday afternoon. And so we connect, and I go by and take you to the doctor. And people who care, volunteers, classified by the Arizona Department of Transportation, do door-through-door escorts assistance.
And you said door through door.
Door through door. So our volunteers can go into a home, help somebody on with their coat or their packages, walk out to the car with them, drive them to either a grocery store or a medical facility or a pharmacy. They go into the facility, and our volunteers stay in the facility during the time that the neighbor is there, except if it's like a 3-hour appointment, and then they can check with the receptionist and leave. What's critical about that, Dave, is that provides reassurance for that neighbor, that if something happens, they know that, there's a volunteer out in the waiting room, or there's a volunteer in the grocery store. If they're not helping them up and down the aisle, that they're waiting for them right by the door. So they're not nervous about it, and if something were to happen, the volunteer would be right there.
Yeah.
So there's so many aspects of it. I don't want to get too carried away here. I'm trying not to miss some valid points. So the biggest thing that we're looking for right now is volunteers, because all of the money in the world doesn't buy volunteers. Mm-hmm. And if we don't have the volunteers, we don't have the program. We can't do the help. We can't give people help. So our big push right now is to get out into our 3 community areas and say, do you have any time? Volunteers do what they can when they can. We don't nail them down to you have to do Tuesday mornings from 9 to 12 or whatever. The only thing that we ask is if you're working in our office and you're answering phones, that maybe commit to 3 hours assignment and answering phones and scheduling volunteers. But so Dave says, well, I could volunteer, but I don't have a whole lot of time, but I could help somebody with grocery shopping on Saturday morning. Mm-hmm. And I might want to bring my son along or my daughter along, because it'll be wonderful to have that volunteering experience. So this is an opportunity that we want to put out to people in all the communities right now, is that we can't do the help without the volunteers. And the volunteers go through a 2-hour orientation. We do a background check on them, and we do references. But it's very, we're there to 100%. Our primary job as staff is to always make sure that our volunteers are not put into a situation that's at risk or they feel uncomfortable with. So how do we prevent that? When somebody calls and says, I need help. And so Matthew calls and says, I need help, I can't drive anymore. So we do a phone interview, a very thorough phone interview with Matthew, and it may be a family member that's with him. And then we go out and do a home visit. Mm-hmm. And I have 12 trained volunteers who now go out and visit Matthew in his home and sit down with him. And what they're doing is they're talking to Matthew and explaining the program, but they're also assessing the situation. Is Matthew cognitive? Does he have any behavioral issues? Is his home safe? Is there an environment that's threatening to him? And the bottom line is always, when that volunteer comes back from that visit and sits down with a staff member, the bottom line is always, is this person appropriate for volunteer assistance? Not whether this person needs help, but is this a situation where we can safely put a volunteer into this situation to be helpful? Because if we don't protect our volunteers and try to always assess the situation carefully, we wouldn't have a program 26 years later, would we?
No.
We have to. So it's it seems to have worked very well. Not that we can always safeguard something, but when there is any issue that comes up, we go back out and do another home visit. Or if somebody has had a stroke or something and their physical ability has changed, we go out and reassess. So it's just a constant thing. So right now we're helping.
Change is the only thing that's really constant.
Yes. So currently we're helping over 400 people in our 3 service communities right now.
And how many people do you have sort of on your list to be helped.
That's what I'd say, 400 active people, active, that they're actively receiving some type of assistance from us.
No, but I mean, do you have any other people that are, like, for example, that are on your list to be helped? Like,
Oh, waiting list, you mean?
yeah, wait list.
Once in a while, especially in the Prescott program, because it's our largest,
Yeah.
once in a while somebody will call and say, well, I need a ride on such and such a date. Well, we know in the Prescott program that if we go beyond 9 round trips a day, or visiting a volunteer 9 times in one day, that it's going to be very, very difficult to fill that. Not that some days we don't go to 12. So we say, you know what, we have 9, but if you have to go on that day, let's get you on a wait list. And we prioritize that wait list. If they just want to go shopping, we'll say, well, that day's full, but how about going the next day? You know, we try to move the shopping because we always focus more on the essential, which is healthcare appointments.
Yeah.
That's the main driver.
Of course.
Yeah.
Healthcare and dental work and all that kind of stuff.
So if People Who Care's mission, which it is to help people continue living independently in their own homes or independent living apartments.
Yes.
The second prong of that mission, Dave, is to help dispel loneliness and feelings of isolation.
Yeah.
Because that is just as important as a direct service that we give. And so when someone is taking someone to the grocery store or sitting in a doctor's office with them, what they're doing is they're connecting with that person. And because it's one-on-one, that volunteer is not being paid to be there. They're present in someone's life. They're listening, they're laughing, they're sharing their stories. Mm-hmm. And volunteers often will sit in front of somebody's home and say, we sat there for another half an hour talking, just visiting and sharing stories and finding out our common ground.
That's excellent.
It is. So, I mean, that loneliness is devastating. And that's what we're trying to do, is to make life better, the quality of life better, to let people know that there are really people who care out there for them.
So tell us about, how do you become a member or a volunteer?
How do you volunteer? Oh, you just call, and I'll give you all those numbers. But you would call the Prescott office is where our volunteer coordinator, our part-time volunteer coordinator is. And that number is 928, of course, 445-2480. Again, it's 445-2480. And you just let them know that you're interested in volunteering. And we're going to ask you where you live. But you'll still probably go through the main office to volunteer, because that's where primarily we're holding our orientations. Not all the time. Oftentimes we'll hold them out in Chino Valley or Prescott Valley. So, but that's the big thing. Just let us know you're interested. We'll answer all their questions, answer their insurance questions, answer all the things that volunteers need to know.
And get the background check going.
Yeah, I mean, they have to come to the orientation first. And my rule is that, say you are coming to an orientation to volunteer, Dave, and you sit through 2 hours, then you ask your questions, and then there's a volunteer application in your manual. We don't want you to fill it out right then. We want Dave to go home and think about it. Mm-hmm. Think about what he's heard in the orientation. Think about, is this something that's really a fit for me? Is this something I want to do? And then
commitment.
Yeah, and then you call back and you say, yes, I want to bring my application in, and then we sit down and go over your application with you. Like I said, you only do what you want to do when you want to do it. If you want to volunteer once a month, this is what you want to do. If you want to just go visiting somebody, if you want to provide caregiver relief, if you want to do transportation, grocery shopping, or shop for somebody, there's all sorts of options. Work in the office, do all sorts of things. Help on our fundraising event. So there's all sorts of opportunities out there to volunteer. And we like to keep it wide open for you to find out what Dave wants to do, how much time he has, and what he's interested in doing.
Okay, that's terrific.
You don't get put into one place and say, this is what we need.
Nor do you get volunteers. You become a volunteer.
Yes, yes. So we make it easy.
Okay, so tell me some stories that emphasize the results of your program.
Oh, golly. I have 26 years of stories in my head, and one that I just wrote
You've
about.
only been here 17 years.
I know, but we have stories in the past, all leading up to it. But one I just wrote about recently, His name is Harry. And he sent us a nice little note. And he said, I want to thank the volunteers who've been helping me for the last 6 years. And I'm paraphrasing now because I'm not looking at his words. But he said, my wife died and I was devastated. And I just felt like the wind had gone out of my sails, that, I just felt, what am I going to do? And then the doctor, of all things, says, you can't drive anymore, Harry. It's not safe. And then I was really devastated. I didn't know what to do. And then a friend told me about People Who Care, and I called. And the last 6 years, volunteers have taken me to doctor's appointments, have helped me with grocery shopping, have been my friends. And then he ended it with I love the line, you have been the sunshine in my life. And those are the stories that we hear, the notes that we hear every day.
That's awesome.
It is awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a wonderful thing.
So, is there a cost that you know of?
No, we never charge for the assistance that's provided,
Okay.
ever. They can always donate it to People Who Care, to the organization. Our volunteers do not accept cash. They do it because they love to do it. It's a labor of love.
Yeah.
And there's never any charge. No, it's all free.
Awesome.
All free.
Okay.
Yep.
You have any more stories you want to tell? You got a dozen, probably.
I'm trying to come up with the last minute stories. Well, we had one lady who spent, 20-some years, I can't remember exactly, in the Peace Corps. And she was overseas in the Peace Corps, and she taught, I believe it was in Africa, for many, many years. But she never really had a full-time paying job. She was never really able to establish a retirement. She was doing it because she loved to do it. And then when she came back and finished her Peace Corps years, what happened is she was diagnosed with macular degeneration. Oh. And it was a fast-moving kind. And
that's an eye problem.
Yes.
For those of you.
Yes, it's a vision loss that sometimes can be, whether it's wet or dry, it can be alleviated to some extent. But eventually, hers was very serious, and she lost about 95% of her sight. Never had children. Didn't really have any retirement income to save, so she was able to draw on some Social Security. But here she is. And she was a beautiful artist, and so she was still able to do some things with her hand and some sculpting and so forth. But she called us and she said, I don't know what to do. I can't drive. Don't know what to do. And we just took care of her. In fact, we're still helping her to this day.
That's terrific.
And it is. It is. So I've got a ton of stories. So
Oh yeah, I'm sure we can speak all day about that.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so in conclusion, we are the Prescott Sunrise Lions Club. We would like to invite you to our club meeting, which is held at Waffles and More every Thursday at 7 a.m. or 7 a.m. 7 a.m. Okay.
It's early.
We will find that our club is friendly and fun, but we're also very engaged in the Prescott and Prescott Valley communities, Chino Valley, really the Quad City area. We joke and laugh and fully understand our purpose in the community we serve. If you want to be part of such a group, then become a member of the club. I want to thank Prescott Media Center, Rob, Jim, Linda, Matt, for helping us with this program today. And again, I want to thank Fritzi and Mevis, the boss over there at People Who Care. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me, Dave.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody.
All right.
Okay.